Hey everybody, this is Russ from Retro Game Core. I've mentioned it in previous videos before, but I'm a big fan of the case that comes with the Steam Deck itself. I love the fact that Valve actually sends it out for free with the device, but then also it's actually very good, nice and sturdy, and this is the $650 model. As you can see right here, it has a colored logo and the inside's colored as well, but I have tried the lower tier case too. It's also very handy, and so it makes it actually really hard for me to make a recommendation for other cases because the one that comes with it is still very good. Now, this case is not perfect. For example, all it can really do is just store your Steam Deck. There is a compartment here underneath where you could put the AC adapter, but really that's about it. I have tested out other cases. For example, there are thicker ones that have like compartments inside, but honestly, I've never really been satisfied with those either because they add a lot of bulk, and that's why I've never made a video about them. Now, a few weeks ago, a company named Tomtoc reached out and said, hey, we've got a bunch of Steam Deck accessories, we want you to check them out. Honestly, I get a lot of these emails and I usually just say no or delete them, but I had heard of Tomtoc before. In fact, I got one of their cases that came with my Aya Neo Air review unit, and I really like this thing. I like the color toning to it, but then also it's pretty thin and also form-fitting to the device itself. And so this is actually one of my favorite cases all around. It is a hard shell, and so it really protects the device too, and so I've kind of been on the lookout for Tomtoc anyway. And they do make other hard shell cases like this. For example, here's a Nintendo Switch one. This one is also nice and thin and form-fitting, and so I really like this one too. In fact, they have a Steam Deck one that's like this as well. They did a first batch of those and they sold out like super fast, and so I'm on the list to get one of the second batch ones, but it has a nice gray color to it. I'll show it here in the pictures so you can get an idea of what it looks like, but I think this one's going to be really nice too. I think I'm actually going to do a video on this one when it arrives. But the reason why I had you click on this video here today is to actually go over a different one. This one's actually a bag, so not necessarily a hard case, but this one is specifically made for the Steam Deck, and it is pretty neat. And so in this video, we'll do my typical nitpicking of all the little things about it, but in the end, I think this one's a pretty good deal. And Tomtoc sent me a bunch of other cases that are along the same kind of design schematic, and so we're going to check out those as well, because some of those are going to be a good fit for other retro devices in case you have those. Anyway, we got a lot of ground to cover despite the fact of it just being a regular old Steam Deck bag, and so without any further delay, let's jump in. Now, for me, when it comes to considering a carrying bag like this, there are three things I think are most important. So let's go over those real quick before we get started. Number one, I think that it should protect whatever's inside. And for this case in particular, they've done some pretty innovative things specifically for the Steam Deck. For example, you can see that the case right here has the Steam Deck near the back, which means it's not going to have like any concussions here on the front. And then also it has this big pad here where it's like in between the grips. And so because of that, it evens everything out right here. And so it's nice and balanced. You're not going to feel like the grips have any additional weight on them right here. Additionally, they have this M-shaped kind of design here on the front, and that leaves open air right here for the joysticks. That means nothing's going to press against it when you put it inside. That's going to be really nice if you're worried about stick drift, of it, pressing on it and holding it there and something happening with the actuator. In that case, I don't think you're going to have that worry. And finally, the outer materials are high quality too. We have this waterproofy section right here, but then also all the rest of the canvas is high quality as well. In addition, they have these nice YKK zippers that are high quality too. Overall, this thing just kind of feels pretty premium, especially at this price. Now, the second thing I like to look for is the ability to carry it around. And this one comes with a shoulder strap, which means you could put it on one shoulder like this, or you could actually put it across. And that's actually what I prefer, because then it allows me to use both hands freely. And so in that regard, yes, I think it works well. I don't think it's perfect. For example, I wish it had a little strap right here so I could just kind of grab and go if I wanted. But other than that, I think it works well from a carrying perspective. Now, finally, the third thing I think that's very important when considering a bag is going to be the price, and this one's priced pretty well. It's $49 on Amazon, but they always have like a coupon. Right now it's a $7 off coupon, and they also gave me a code for 10% off. I'll leave that in the video description below. So you're looking at anywhere from like $40 to $45, and for me, that's a pretty good price for a case. It's not too expensive like the one from Waterfield that I reviewed a couple months ago, and we'll talk more about that one later in the video too. And so I think this is a good price for what you're getting here. All right, let's take a closer look at the bag next. Like I mentioned, the front part here has a more weather-resistant texture to it, actually made out of recycled bottles. And then the rest of the bag is made with sturdy ballistic nylon. And while the bag is not waterproof, it is water-resistant, so I'd be more than comfortable with walking around with this in some light rain. I also like that the zipper is enclosed here on the top. On the back, we have a single strap and then 2 loops for the shoulder strap clips. And then nothing really going on here on the bottom. Now looking closer at the front, we can see that there is a zip pocket right here, and the inside has a different material here, and I think this looks really nice. It's nice and subdued, but it does have some Tomtoc branding as well. And I think that's one of the main themes of this bag overall. Even the branding here on the front is off to the side and just really kind of subtle. Now the whole bag is using YKK zippers from Japan, and they feel really nice and solid too. Anyway, I think the outside looks great. Let's take a look at the inside next. Now, first thing is that it has a shoulder strap inside, so let's take a look at that first. There's a couple things I really like about this strap, and then one I'm not a huge fan of. To start, I like the fact that the shoulder strap is padded. It is very comfortable to use, and I also appreciate that it has the same kind of branding as on the rest of the bag. It just makes it feel a little bit more complete. Now the clips for the straps have a kind of carabiner style to them, and I like the fact that they rotate around 360 degrees. But as much as I like the function of them, I wish these were actually metal. I think it would just make it feel a little bit more robust. Now granted, I think they were probably trying to keep the weight down on the bag overall, but all the same, I really like the feel of some solid metal clips, and I think that would be really nice right here. And so for me, the strap is just about perfect. I just would prefer to have the metal clips, otherwise it's great. Okay, now let's take a look at the rest of the inside of the bag. To start, the bag is separated into 2 different compartments. We have the section for the Steam Deck itself, and then a bunch of storage. Along the front, we have another compartment for storage, which has a mesh separator here. And this feels pretty good, but not super secure, and so I wouldn't put anything heavy duty in this pocket. And also bear in mind, it is going to butt up with the other front compartment, and there's not a lot of padding between the two. Now the Steam Deck will be secured in place with what they call a magic strap right here, but then as you can see there's another mesh pocket right here. And this might be good for some smaller accessories like an SD card reader or something like that. Now looking at the spot that holds the Steam Deck itself, like I mentioned, it has that M shape or W shape design to it right here. We have space for the joysticks as well as that pad here in the back so that you don't put any extra stress on the grips themselves. And so as you see when I'm putting in the Steam Deck itself, you can see it's really well padded. It feels nice and padded on the back, and then also pretty padded on the front too to protect the screen. Additionally, the triangle design around the joysticks does prevent them from getting pressed. And as you can see, even with the Steam Deck inside, we have plenty of room in the front to add more accessories. So I'm just going to grab some random stuff as if I was preparing for a trip. Let's start with an AC adapter. This one's from JSO, but it's the exact same size as the one from Valve. I think on travel you probably would want a USB-C hub as well, so let's put that in the mesh pocket here on the front. And we still have a ton of space, so let's go ahead and put an Xbox controller here if you wanted to hook this up to a TV and play that way. And then also maybe you're going to be on a flight, so you want to use some Bluetooth headphones, so here are my AirPods right here. And really, I've still got a little bit of space, so let's go ahead and put a travel mouse right here in case you want to do any work while on the go. And of course, let's not forget the very front pocket. Here we can put a USB cable or maybe an HDMI cable if you're going to hook it up to that TV. Either way, I think that's a quick example of how much space you're going to have here, and in fact, I could probably still pack this even more. So let's go ahead and clip on these shoulder straps here and take it for a test ride. And here's what it looks like on my shoulder when slinging it across to the other side. Now the straps here are actually at the very shortest that they go, and honestly, I wish they went a little bit higher up too. I feel like the bag would feel just a little bit more secure if it was on the small of my back as opposed to against my hips. Either way, I wouldn't say that's a big complaint because it's still very comfortable where it is. And actually at this level, it's very easy to be able to just kind of swing it around to the front and then unzip it and grab my Steam Deck if I wanted to. And so yes, you could actually access your Steam Deck right here while still standing up. And of course, the reason why I like to sling it across like this is because it frees my arms for anything else. Overall, I think it looks really good, and it's a nice size considering the fact that the Steam Deck itself is rather large. And so it's obviously going to be a little bit bulkier than a slim-fitting case, but all the same, I like how portable this one is too. And I do feel like the Steam Deck is well protected. We have the padding here on the back, but then also it's nice and flush against the rest of my body. Additionally, the screen is protected, and we also have space for other accessories, and of course the joysticks themselves are not going to get bothered with this whole setup. And so yes, if I wanted to travel around and have my Steam Deck ready, this is exactly the type of bag I would be looking for. Now, if you didn't want to sling it across your body, you could have it just on one shoulder like this. It's kind of like a small duffel in that regard. And that feels okay too, but honestly, I just prefer to have it slung across because then I have both my hands free. Now, like I mentioned, it's not quite perfect when it comes to portability. For example, I wish there was a small strap here on the top. It would make it really easy to just grab and go. Now, there are some straps on here, for example, the one here on the back, but I don't think this is for carrying. For me, it feels like this is designed to be used with luggage, like you extend the handle and then you can use this to secure it into place. There's also a strap here at the bottom front. I'm not really sure what this is for, maybe for clutching it like this, but either way, I also wouldn't carry it like that. And so when it comes down to it, this is most suited for a shoulder strap. Now, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, there was another bag that I did review. This one was from Waterfield in San Francisco. And I really like this bag too, but it is rather large and quite expensive. At $240, it seems like it's a little bit of overkill. Now, granted, people spend that much money on bags all the time, but all the same, I didn't really feel like this was a good fit for the economical price of the Steam Deck. If anything, I would say compared to the Tomtoc, this is going to be a nice combo bag. So if you wanted to have your Steam Deck plus a bunch of other stuff, like your overnight gear, you wanted just to have one bag for everything, this one might work. And like I joked around in my review, you could kind of walk around on a college campus with this, and people would think you're super smart, like it's full of books. But of course, little do they know, you're just going to be playing some video games inside. Anyway, if you do think this bag might be a good fit for you, I do have a review here on this channel, but honestly, between the two right here, I feel like the Tomtoc one is just a little bit more focused and more consumer friendly. Now, if you are interested in getting a bag that's larger but still with the same design, there is one from Tomtoc that is bigger. And this one's actually made for the Nintendo Switch, but the Steam Deck will fit inside, it's just going to be pretty snug. In terms of materials and overall design, it is a very similar experience. But there are some distinctions inside. For example, the padding on the back is not as large, and because it's not actually designed for the Steam Deck, it is going to touch those joysticks. And so you're going to have to be pretty careful when putting in and taking out the Steam Deck so that you don't mess with those joysticks. And when it comes to overall protection, this isn't going to be a perfect fit like the other. For example, I do think it's well padded on the sides right here, but the back padding leaves a lot of space. In fact, you can actually place another device here in the back if you wanted. Either way, if you're looking for a bag that has more space in the front compartment and you don't mind having a little bit snugger of a fit when it comes to the Steam Deck, you could still use this one too. And when it comes to actually using this one, it does seem a little bit more practical despite being a bit larger. For example, it does have straps at the top so you could lug it around that way. And of course, you could do the whole shoulder strap thing as well, either in a duffel position or with the straddling across your shoulder. And so this is definitely an option if you want to go bigger, but I do think the Steam Deck specific one is a better size overall. Now, there are also some smaller bags with this same design, but these are not going to fit the Steam Deck. The first one up here is $38 altogether, and as you can see, it is quite smaller than the Steam Deck one. It also comes with a shoulder strap and has a similar design here when it comes to the compartments. And I think this would be a good fit for larger devices that aren't quite as big as the Steam Deck. Something like the Logitech Cloud fits really well. The joysticks are going to touch a little bit at the front, but they don't really have a lot of pressure to them, so I think it's going to be fine. Another device that would be a great fit for this would be something like the Neo 2 or the Neo Geek. This one fits really well, and you still have some space for accessories here in the front. And so if you're looking for a smallish bag for a handheld PC that's around that same size, then yes, this is going to fit well. And it also does come with shoulder straps, but these are a little bit thinner and don't have a padding on the top, and so they're not quite as comfortable, but they definitely will work fine. And because the bag is smaller and lighter, it's not really going to put a lot of pressure on your shoulder anyway. And so I think this is a pretty good go-between bag if you want something that's similar to the one from the Steam Deck, but not quite as big. Next, we have one that's even smaller. This one's $30 and is actually more of a clutch than an actual bag. And I really like this one too, but for different reasons than the other ones. The other ones are like everyday bags that you can put things inside of and just kind of carry the whole works. What I like about this one is it has a lot of padding. In fact, it has a compartment here for Nintendo Switch cartridges, which gives it some extra padding, or you could just put some SD cards inside. But this is a great form factor for some of those mid-size handhelds. Something like an AYN Odin or even the Razer Edge fit really well here. And so if you have a device that's about the same size as like an original Nintendo Switch or a Switch Lite, this one is going to be a good fit too. And finally, if you have an even smaller handheld, there's an option here that works pretty well. Now this one's actually just made for Nintendo Switch cartridges, but the secret here is that it will actually work for handhelds too. If you look inside, it does have two of those padded cartridge holders for Nintendo Switch, but you could actually pull those out and it still works really well. In fact, it has this nice little magnetic clasp here on the top. And this is a good size here. For example, it'll fit the PS Vita or even something like the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. And there's enough space here that you could actually leave those cartridge slots inside and it would give you extra padding. And so for some of those smaller handhelds, this might be a good fit as well. Anyway, enough of all the other options that you have. Let's get back to that Steam Deck bag and let's talk about what I like and what I don't like as we start to wrap up. Number one, I like the rugged and high quality materials they used for this bag. This is obviously not this company's first rodeo when it comes to a storage bag like this, and it really shows. I also really like this sleek design, the black overall look, but then those red accents really pop. And I think overall there's a lot of carry options here. Not only do you have space for your Steam Deck, but then a lot of accessories too. You're not going to be able to put the kitchen sink inside, but I think you'd be surprised at what you can store in here comfortably. And finally, I think this is a fair price. Between $40 and $45, depending on the day you order it, is actually pretty good for a bag of this high quality. Now, of course, like with anything, it's not perfect, and so let's talk about the things I don't like about it. Number one is I'm not a huge fan of the plastic carabiner attachments that they have on the shoulder strap. I'm sure they used plastic clips in order to keep it lightweight, but all the same, I would have liked some metal ones too. I also wish this bag had a top handle. I think it would be really handy if you're just going to grab and go in case you're like about to miss your flight or whatever. As it stands, I really like the shoulder strap. I just wish I had that one extra option to be able to grab it and go. And finally, this isn't a ding against Tomtoc or their nice bag that they have here, but they do have an uphill battle in the fact that the Steam Deck already comes with a case. And so not only does it have to be a nice bag like the one we have here, but it has to go above and beyond to be able to compel somebody to buy it over the case they already have. And really, I think that's the crux of the video here. Are you in the market for a bag that you want to be able to put on your shoulder? Then if so, I think this is easily the best bag that I've seen in that regard. I love the fact that it has a nice sleek design, but then also many different storage options as well. In addition, they were very thoughtful about protecting the actual Steam Deck itself, and really I think they found a good balance between having something to protect the Steam Deck while not being overly bulky, but then also having space for your other accessories. And so in the end, I do recommend this bag. In fact, ever since getting it, I have not used the Steam Deck case at all. And for me, that's actually saying a lot, because I used that Steam Deck case for a year, and to finally find something to replace it is kind of a big deal for me. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited about this bag like me, or do you think there are other alternative options that are better out there? As always, thank you for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and we will see you next time. Happy gaming.